guys, and welcome to episode 32 of the Crochet Cakes podcast, a podcast about crocheting and any crafty thing that catches my fancy, really. My name is Clarissabeth. I can be found as Crochet Cakes anywhere on the internet, which basically includes Instagram, Ravelry, Elo, and of course here on YouTube. I am coming to you from Puerto Rico, which is where I live, where I podcast from, and where I work, essentially. Today is Sunday, the 27th of August. It's 9 in the morning, if that means anything to you. Now, if you've tuned in recently, then thank you so much for coming back and checking out this new episode. And if you are a new viewer, then thank you so much for checking out this podcast. This week's episode is going to be a bit different from the previous episodes. But before we get into that, the first thing I want to do is just thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you've been sending my way. And if you are new, then I'll just give you a bit of detail on why I've been needing lots of love and support. And essentially, it's been because I don't know how, but I managed to injure my shoulder, and it's been making crocheting and knitting particularly trying. In fact, I have not been able to crochet or knit at all, and it's been really sad. But Kayleen, I followed your advice. I've been squishing a lot of yarn, and it's made me really happy because I don't know, I love all this yarn I buy, but sometimes I buy it, I'm like, oh, it's pretty, and then I put it away for a future project. But this week, I just took it all out. I had a big squishing festival with all of that yarn, and I also reorganized all my stash. All my yarns are now organized by dyer, if they're indie dyed, and by company, if they are commercially dyed. So I am super proud of that. One thing that came to light during this reorganization is basically that I have a lot of Crafternoon Treats yarn, and I have a lot of Kayleen's yarn. Kayleen is the dyer behind Little Bean Loves Hand Painted Yarn, and Catherine is the dyer behind and podcaster behind the Crafternoon Treats podcast. And Kayleen also hosts a podcast. If you haven't watched either one of those podcasts, then please go and check them out. So I just want to again say a huge thank you to all of you who've sent so much love and support my way. Charlie, Hannah, Sinead, Emma, Sandra, Deanne, Claudia, and I know I'm forgetting people's names, Jaydan, who's Jaylene, I believe. If I totally misspelled that, I am sorry. Catherine, just, all of you lovely people from the crochet community, thank you so much for sending all that love and support my way. It's been greatly appreciated. The other bit of channel news that I have is if you've watched the two previous episodes, episode 30 and episode 31, you will notice that I am flying solo this week. It does feel a tiny bit, okay, it feels very weird to be flying solo, but for those of you that love it when Mom and I podcast together, fear not, she will be appearing on later in this episode, number one. And number two, since her schedule this semester is a lot more flexible than it usually is, we will be podcasting together once a month, which I think is brilliant because she's been doing so many crochet items, just a lot. She's been doing a lot of crochet items, and I'm really excited that she's going to get to be showing them to you in future episodes. So that's the first. The second bit of channel news that I have is that we are planning a Halloween special as per request. I know Whisker Moon, I believe Hannah, and many of you have actually gotten in touch saying that the Halloween episode is one of your favorite episodes. So we're trying to plan something to make it extra special and to see if we can beat our past Halloween episode. And the third bit of channel news that I want to talk about is, I'm just going to throw this word out there, Christmas. I'm throwing it out there, Christmas. Why? Because Mom and I have planned what I think is a really, really awesome vlogmas. Seriously. We're planning a, vlogmas for the 12 days of Christmas, and I'm super, super excited. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be. I want it to be a huge surprise, but it was just something that Mom thought of in the moment, and we're running with it because it's just brilliant. So stay tuned for those two things, a Halloween special and a Christmas special. We will not be doing a Thanksgiving special because I will not be in Puerto Rico for Thanksgiving. I will actually be in Florida with my boyfriend. So maybe I can do a little vlog for you guys about what we got up to that week. I'm very bad with vlogs. I am, aren't I? I'm very bad. I always say I'm going to vlog and then I never do it. And the fourth bit of channel news that I have is that I am currently hosting a cal with you guys, and that is the Spotting Clouds top designed by Christina Hattering, who is also the designer behind the Hotel of Bees shawl, which if you haven't made that shawl, please go check it out, and if it interests you, make it, because it's such an entertaining shawl to make. And the Spotting Clouds top is a free pattern that can be found in Christina's blog, or you could just search for the Spotting Clouds top on the pattern page in Ravelry, and it will offer the link to Christina's blog, and you can just read all about it. If you have never crocheted a garment before, I think this is a good place to start because Christina has offered support in the chatter thread for the Crochet Cakes podcast Ravelry group, and it's been a lovely, lovely active chatter thread. You guys have just been so brilliant, and you're really making me inspired to actually push on beyond the discomfort I've been feeling and get some crocheting done. So yes, head on over to the Ravelry thread if you want to be inspired, and number 2, head on over to craftyescapism.com if you still have doubts of why you should crochet a garment, and read her post about 5 reasons to make a crochet garment. It's a beautiful post and it's very inspiring, and I just think crochet garments don't get the love they deserve. I really do love crocheting garments, and I think they're brilliant. So yes, head on over to the Ravelry group, share with us, be inspired, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, guys. I am here to help, Christine is here to help, and anybody who's crocheting the pattern is here to help you along with all the crafty crocheting top goodness. The only restrictions, and there are not many, number 1, the cal started officially on the 21st of August. So if by the 21st of August you had no more than the yoke done, feel free to include that whip. And it will run until the 14th of August. Now, little disclaimer, it may actually, I may actually extend the deadline because I think 1.5 months? No, it's a bit more like 2 months, really, because the chatter thread started on the 14th of August, and it's ending on the 14th of October. But I may extend the deadline a bit. I'll let you guys know in upcoming episodes. I'll just see how everybody's getting along in the chatter thread, and if you're doing well, then maybe I'll keep the deadline as is. But yes, I'm very, very excited. So that really is the only restriction, guys. Sinead, I hope you found some yarn that you can use for this top, and I hope you found some yarn you can combine with the hedgehog fibers to use for this top, which I think is brilliant. Sarab, I hope I'm not saying your name incorrectly. I hope you're getting into that actual Sheep G's Whirl yarn because it looked amazing. and I am so gonna misspell this, but mispronounce it, but M. Grodzuik. I think I'll just write it here. Thank you so much for all your participation in the chatter thread. Melody Crochet 2, who actually has a podcast, is joining in the call, so that's really exciting. Note to self, check out Melody's podcast. And Mo's Crochet, thank you for stopping on by. Patty Crochets, I'm so excited that you're joining. For those of you who haven't watched previously, Patty was the one who won the Podiversary giveaway. There we go. I'm having so much trouble with words, guys, this week. I think it's because I'm podcasting alone. It just feels weird. But you guys are here for some crafting goodness, not just some channel admin, right? As exciting as channel admin can be. So as I mentioned, this will be a wee bit of a different episode. The crochet segment will not be up to me this week. I've got a little bit surprised later on as to who will be hosting the crochet segment. I will be talking about two things that I haven't talked to you guys about in ages. And one of them is yarn dyeing and the other one is sewing. Yes, two things that I've talked to you guys about in ages. So I will start with the sewing segment because it's also what I'm wearing, which is brilliant. Now, I will insert a video here for you guys so you can actually see the full top. It's going to be a bit weird to stand up and show you, but you guys can see that it's got pineapples and it's basically a knit fabric. Now, this shirt was made using a men's extra large t-shirt and it's a peplum top. So I think I will actually have to stand up so you can see the peplum for a bit. So yes, it's a peplum top made from a men's extra large t-shirt. I used a video tutorial on YouTube, which I will link in the show notes, which as always can be found in the Ravelry group for the podcast, because I should have completely checked out the name, but I forgot. As you do, sometimes we forget, right? Well, anyway, since it's a tutorial, there's nothing wrong with me walking you through the steps. So the first thing you do is actually get your waist measurements for the peplum area, because to make a peplum top, it's basically a t-shirt and then kind of like the beginning of a circle skirt at the bottom. And then you sew them together. So the first thing you do is make your circle by measuring the distance that how long you would like your peplum to be. So let's say, sorry about that. I had forgotten to actually get the circle. So what I have here is just a piece of drawing sketch from a big large sketch pad, and I cut out my circle. So after I had my waist measurements as indicated by the chart, then I measured 7 inches from the point, so it was folded in half. So I measured 7 inches from here to here to here, all around, and then I cut my circle. As you can see, there used to be a sketch there. Reuse and reduce, right guys? Reuse and reduce. So yeah, this is the circle for the peplum, and that's what you start cutting out. Once you've got that cut out, then you trim the shirt so it's actually a straight line, well, a straight line at the bottom of the shirt, and you take a tank top that fits you well, and you trace it to cut around it and get a size that fits you. Now, I thought I had chosen a tank top that would be good for me. Sorry about the lighting, it just keeps disappearing behind some clouds. Well, the sun is back. So as I was saying, I thought I had chosen an appropriate top, but it turns out that I decided to leave half-inch seam allowances for the actual sewing. So when I had it all cut up and sewn, it was 3 sizes too big for me. And yeah, so there was a lot of cutting again involved and a lot of adjusting, but barring that experience, I do recommend, if you've never worked with knit or jersey type fabric, this pattern of just buying a pre-made shirt, because it's a sort of inexpensive way to practice sewing. I have never worked with knit fabric previously. Well, a lot. I have done this shirt once before, and I believe I talked about it in a previous podcast. It was a grey one, and I should have brought it to show you. But either way, this top cost $7, and for a men's $7 extra large t-shirt, I got a woman's extra small peplum top. So I think it's fantastic, and I will of course link the video so you can make your own peplum top if that is something that you are interested in. So that is what I'm wearing, but that is not the only sewing that I have been up to. Now, what I'm going to show you next is a bit frustrating because it was a dress that I was supposed to have finished for my boyfriend's graduation, which was in July. That didn't happen, and I've been kind of slowly working on it. The thing with sewing for me is that I'm always afraid that I will mess it up. And so I tend to go very slowly with it, and I tend to talk myself out of actually sewing a lot because I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna mess it up, and if it has to do with zippers, forget it. I for sure am gonna have to do it multiple times to get the zipper to work for me. You know, it's a learning process. But this dress I actually love, and it is my version of the Megan dress, which is a dress that can be found in the Love at First Stitch, which is a book by Tilly and the Buttons. It's a great sewing book for beginners because each chapter is written like a lesson. So if you've never sewn before, this is a great book. And if you have sewn before, the patterns in this book are amazing. So you start out, you know, with chapter 1. There's a garment gallery, my story, how to use this book, what you will need. Chapter 1 is techniques and how to make it your own and make it a lifestyle. And she goes for each and every chapter is a garment. So you start with the Brigitte scarf, then chapter 2 is the Margot pajamas, and chapter 3 is the Delphine skirt. It just keeps going that way. I've actually made 2 patterns from this book completely, and the Megan dress would make 3 patterns. I've made the Delphine skirt, the Clement skirt, which is a self-drafted gathered skirt, and the Megan dress, which, as you've seen, is a work in progress. Now, my only critique with this book, and it's the one I always have, is that I feel that I have to trace the patterns in the book. I do not find that, yeah, this is the traced pattern. I'm just going to put it this way so you can't actually. This is the traced pattern because all the patterns in the book are in one big, actually 2 big, huge pieces of paper, and they have patterns on the front and the back. So I feel like it's something that's going to break easily if I use it. So I trace it a lot. And then after tracing it, I actually sit down to cut the pattern, piece it together, then use a tracing wheel to trace the pattern onto the fabric. Now, my issue with the tracing wheel is that the tracing paper you get, I don't find it actually helps any. The only paper that transfers for me is the red paper, and I find it really, really annoying. But just wanted to show you a picture of the Megan dress so you can see for yourself. It's just a beautiful kind of pear-shaped dress, and I love the fabrics. She's got more than one version of the dress because there's always a make it your own option, so things you can do to adjust the actual pattern if you feel like it, and that is something I did. I did adjust it a bit, and I kind of was inspired by sorry, I put all the things in this book. I was inspired by this version to create my own, and I will now be showing you my version in greater detail and walking you through the steps I did. So this is the version, my version. It's got this beautiful kind of China, not China doll, but anime type fabric at the top with some beautiful colors, and I paired it with a denim. It's actually appearing very true to color. It's a very dark denim, so I paired it with the denim. I will have to wash them separately because this denim bleeds like nobody's business, and this is a very light colored fabric. So I did all my darts and dark tucks. I had no issues with that, except for when I was actually sewing it to the bodice. I don't know if you can tell. These seams do not match perfectly. They're about 1/8 of an inch off. But the rest of the seams match perfectly. It was just that one that didn't match, but you know, hey ho. And that one is about 8 inches off. But I don't mind. I still think it looks pretty, and it's not off by a huge amount that I'm going to be incredibly bothered. And since the fabric is so dark, you can't actually tell how far off they are. So I don't mind that. The inside, let me just show it to you. I have Z-stitched all of the inside. And I'm in the process of putting in my zipper because I did the neck facing. Now, for each and every single project in this book, Tilly actually uses an invisible zip. Even with her tutorials, I'm still intimidated by invisible zips, so I just tend to use normal zips. But for this dress, I kind of wanted it to be a bit hidden because I chose a blue zipper to match the blue fabric, the denim blue fabric at the bottom. And the issue with that, Mom has this technique that she was taught, and she was kind of teaching me that you sew your 5/8 seam allowance all through the back. Can't really see. All through the back. And then you kind of start placing your zipper where you think that seam allowance is and sewing on either side of it. And sewing that boxy shape all around the outside of it. So the first time I did it, it's perfect. It actually only has a bit of a shorter distance at the top here, but you can't really see it because the thread is so light. If you kind of open it up, you can see the difference, but other than that, it's fine. And where it's really obvious, it looks equidistant from this middle here. So it was fantastic. The first time I sewed it, and bam, fantastic, you're done. Yeah, the issue was that I completely didn't notice how far up I had done my zip because I forgot that this was the neck facing. So this goes folded down over the zip. But I, did that. It's way too high, can you see? So I'm actually going to have to break it all apart, which I started doing. And then I got so sad and depressed. no, not depressed, just really sad that I would have to take it all back, because this was about 30 minutes of work, you know, in a time where I'm not really feeling well because my shoulder is still really bothering me. So I was very disappointed, and I haven't kind of brought myself to ripping it all back and working with it again. So, you know, it'll get there, because the only thing I'm missing is the hem, fix the zip, insert my sleeves, and I'm done. And for this Megan dress, I'm not that afraid of inserting my sleeves, because they are actually gathered, and at the top there's 2 points where you do your gathering, so I think that will make it so much easier to insert the actual sleeve. So that's where I'm up to with sewing. I really hope that for the next time I podcast, or at least by Thanksgiving, this dress will be done, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm completely in love with this combination. I just think it's so gorgeous, and it fits really nice. I have tried it on. It fits really nicely, and I just think it's so gorgeous. I have a lot of this fabric left over, so I will actually be sewing a skirt, maybe a holly burn skirt or a circular skirt. Some type of skirt will be sewn out of this fabric. I don't have enough of the denim fabric to do anything else, but that's okay, you know. I bought it on clearance, so it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fine. It's going to be brilliant. So that is it for sewing. We can swiftly move on to yarn dyeing ventures. So I think I am going to call this segment, I haven't decided what I'm going to call it. So at the moment, we'll just call it yarn dyeing. Now, if you've tuned in previously, you know that I don't actually dye using commercial dyes. I use this as my guide, which is the Handbook of Natural Plant Dyes by Sarah Durr. I just got it off Amazon, and here is the ISBN number. And it's just a brilliant book. This is my favorite section of it. It tells you how different dyes look when you don't apply a mordant, when you apply an aluminum mordant, when you apply an iron mordant, and when you apply both an aluminum and an iron mordant. Because you can combine your mordants together, and you can even get mordants from seeds. There are some seeds that have tannins in them that you can use as your mordants. So this is my guide, and right now it is avocado season in Puerto Rico, so Mom and I go crazy storing the avocado pits and the skins and basically anything to do with avocado that we can turn into an avocado tea to use it as dye. So I've got three different colors to show you. Two of them are done from parts of an avocado, and one of them is done with something completely different. So the first one I'm going to show you is the one I dyed. Now I dyed this using avocado, and that is completely not true to color. Okay, this is kind of like a peachy pink color. I think it's more noticeable here than if I put it up close. Yeah, just gonna show you. This is a peachy pink color, and it's dyed using the avocado stones or pits, the big part. Because if you actually cut the avocado open, you will find little seeds in the avocado pit open. You will find little seeds that can also be used because they have a lot of tannins. So, but this is just the avocado stone, which is the big seed-like part in the avocado. And what the book, Sarah Durr tells you in the book, is that if you have 4 ounces of, let's say, maple leaves, then you should use those for 4 ounces of yarn. So we kind of went by that, and we dyed a total of 300 grams because these are 50-gram hanks. So we dyed a total of 6 hanks, 50 grams, so it's 300 grams of yarn. And I think we had about 12 avocado stones or pits that came to be about 2 pounds. The technique that I do is make the avocado tea, and while I'm making the avocado tea, I let the yarn soak overnight, and I let the avocado tea soak overnight. Then when I'm getting ready to actually dye the yarn, I strain the tea, I rinse my yarn, and I then place it into a warm water, let it simmer for an hour, very, very low simmer, turn it off, and I leave it 1 to 2 days in the dye bath to get as even a color as I can. So this is how it turns out, and I use an iron mordant for these. So it's an iron mordant solution. So you take vinegar, iron nails, and water, place it in a jar, and let it do its thing, essentially. So that's how these were done. And then Mom took the avocado skins, and she used the same process I just described. She got this beautiful kind of like old raspberry color. So I'm going to put them next to each other to compare. This is with the avocado pits, this is with the avocado skins. So you do get 2 different colors from using 2 different parts of the avocado or aguacate. This is the pits and this is the skin. This is a gorgeous raspberry. I really like this color. I really like this color as well. I think they're brilliant. And just the fact that you get it from 2 different parts of the same vegetable, I think is amazing. So I won't tell you guys the process again because Mom used the same process. Make the tea, let it sit, soak the yarn, let it sit, then insert yarn into dye bath, simmer, let it sit, rinse it, put in the iron mordant, do its thing. So, yay! 2 different beautiful dyed, naturally dyed skeins of yarn. And this is just sock yarn. It's fingering weight. It's 75% wool, 25% nylon. It's the base. And then the third color, this one was dyed by Mom, and it was not using avocado at all. This was made using rambutan. If you've never seen a rambutan, it looks a bit hairy. The skin looks a bit hairy. Literally, it's got like hairs poking out. And red onion skins. This was dyed. It's not showing up true to color at all. This is a tan. I wonder if you can, maybe if I put it next to something black, you'll be able to see it better. Ha, there you go. This is a tan color, and she actually got it from the rambutan and the red onion skins. Now, if you had seen this tea, the tea was a beautiful blush red color. And this is what she got. She also soaked it and heated it up in a cast iron skillet. So essentially you have an iron mordant while you are cooking it, and it gives you an entirely different color. There's even a bit of speckling in here, just dark brown speckling from here, from using the cast iron skillet. See that there? That's, pause for dog. That's speckling because she used a cast iron skillet. It's also there. So I just find it great that throughout this you get some splashes of a darker brown, and this is just a beautiful kind of golden tan color. I really love it. So I love how all these natural dyes turned out. As I said, you get different colors based on the mordant you use. So since we used iron mordant, iron mordant tends to darken the color and change it considerably from what you get if you don't use a mordant. So I am very, very excited to show you that I already have plans for the avocado yarn, because not a long time ago, like 2-3 months ago, I had purchased this beautiful plump skein of Wool and Vine yarns. This is in her Footsie base, which is my favorite base, and its color is called Tea Leaves. Now, originally I had purchased it to pair it with a colorway that she does called Dirty on Purpose, but I found that the contrast between Dirty on Purpose and Tea Leaves was a bit too much for my liking, because Dirty on Purpose is like muddy grays and browns. It's a beautiful colorway, but look how these pair together, guys. Yeah. Brilliant. It's just brilliant, if you ask me. So I've got my 3 skeins and I can make a garment. I already have it planned. The yoke is going to be done in this color, and then the rest of it is going to be done in my avocado yarn. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So that is it for my yarn ventures this week, and I think it's time I hand you over to my mom for the What Am I Hooked On segment of this podcast.
Hello everybody, I am back this week to help out just a little bit with the crochet sections. First of all, I wanted to talk about my first finished object. Oh, which one should I talk about first?
The one you're wearing.
Okay, so we'll start with what am I wearing and a finished object sections all in one. This you will remember is the Luna top from the book Top Down Crochet Sweaters by Dora Orenstein, I believe is her name is. And what was I like? I was probably about just under the yoke the last time that we podcasted.
She ripped it all back.
And I had almost completely finished the front. I didn't have the sleeves on yet. And
you ripped it all back because
I took it all back because I just didn't like the way it was looking at. This is originally made in the book with the merino. Merino has a different drape. It's got a different the way that it sits on the body, and so the stitch definition. It just wasn't looking the way I wanted it to look. So I pulled it all the way back to the yoke. And what I realized is that maybe for the cotton, this is a Rowan cotton in the pine colorway. With the cotton, I would have needed to taper it a little bit over here on the sides. And I'll ask Clarissa Best to put in a video so that you can get the close-ups on it. But basically, I made exactly the way that it's presented in the book, except that I tapered it a little bit on the side. And you remember, this book is cut into sections. So it has sections about the yoke, about the sleeves, about the neckline and all that. So as I went to each section, I kind of read up on how to make alterations on that section. We made the yoke first, but I was just so desperate because I was seeing the yoke so big on my shoulders that I put in the neckline first. They put in the neckline. They don't even put in neckline. So that was maybe another alteration that I did to it. They do say, and when you read the book and all that, if you feel that you need to pull in your work a little bit to add rows of single crochet, and so I added and pulled it in, and then I was liking it. Continued on to the yoke, tapered it along the waist, and then added a couple more stitches at the bottom to open it up again for the hips. And then, since this is the color that they used in the book was a very pretty blue color.
Kind of variegated.
Yeah, it's variegated, different blues and purples probably.
Yeah.
And the texture showed up very well, the stitch showed up very well, and it was very pretty, didn't need anything else. But this is a straight pine color, and so I felt that it needed a little bit extra. Clarissa was working with broomstick lace during those days, so I picked up a yarn and learned how to do the broomstick lace, and I said, well, why don't I add, let's see how I can show it to you.
I think this arm is better.
Yeah, right. Maybe why don't I add broomstick lace
up there Can you guys see that?
There you go. Why don't I add broomstick lace to the edgings of the sleeves? So I hadn't done but a bit of the yoke, and the body has a lot of stitches to it, so it's kind of monotonous. You know, you're repeating the same double treble linked stitch, and it takes so long. It takes about an hour to go around. So after a couple of rows, I just said, I'm going to put on the sleeves because the sleeves are smaller. They've got 44 stitches. It's faster to go around.
Made them shorter, right? They're longer.
And I also made them shorter, and I also pulled them in a bit. If you look at the book and it's the image of the top that they made, I can see that it's looser. That could also be because of the difference in yarn, but it's looser and it's pulled down to about 3/4. Puerto Rico, guys, and I am not on a lot of occasions I'm over 55 too, so I'm not on a lot of occasions being able to wear 3/4 inch sleeves. Although it does get cold sometimes at the university, but it's you really can't count on that because sometimes the air conditioner is down, sometimes it's freezing, and so I was also playing a little bit of yarn chicken, right?
But we did purchase
I didn't know
more yarn.
if my yarn was gonna work out for me, so I actually purchased it, and I didn't need it in the end because of the fact that I made the sleeves shorter, and the broomstick lace I don't think took up too much yarn. But it is tedious. It is time consuming.
But how did you
I thought about doing it at the end, but oops, I gave up.
How did you get the broomstick lace to work in the round?
Oh, YouTube University. I just looked up a video and somebody on YouTube.
Here I was saying, oh my God, Mom, how'd you figure that one out?
Well, actually, I thought about it for a while, and I knew I needed something to be round. So initially, I took I took a hanger, and I made it into a round shape, wrapped it in a piece of fabric, and then I made the round.
I thought you had used a knitting needle.
No, well, actually, the first try was that. When I saw that it worked, that I could actually get the broomstick lace and it actually looked good, then I decided to look up there had to be an easier way because that took a lot of work and it was a little bit clumsy, awkward. It wasn't really the right size. So I said, well, maybe somebody else has done this a different way. So I looked it up on YouTube, and yes, they do use a knitting needle, and they pick up a good part of the stitches onto the needle, and then they just take them off. Take them off the needle, they leave them hanging, and they continue to pick up more stitches and leave those hanging. They always leave 3 of the previous picked up stitches on the hook. So I guess you don't pull it out and you're getting like the same tension. And then once you get to the end, you pull it all out, and your stitches are just hanging there, and you just crochet them in whatever the amount of groups of stitches that you need. So yeah, I went through a lot of trouble with something that was already invented.
You also made the shirt shorter because the shirt in the top in the book was longer.
I'm not too sure I did that. I think it's the top in the book. Oh, it's not worth the while to do it here. But it's basically the length. I didn't affect it that much. It basically goes to. If you look, she's got pockets, jean pockets. I think it's about the same length. But to see the way it tapers out again, it's tapered in here and then just opens up again to provide for a comfortable fit at the hips. And so, that is my Luna. Okay. And I have entered it into 2 cows. I don't know why I'm being awkward with this, but I have entered it into. It's got a seam completely down the back.
So it's like in the round, but not really, because to get the linked half trebles to work, you told me you had to work it flat, because if not, you couldn't get the linked half treble to work.
I'm not too sure. I might have given you that explanation because I always like to give explanations for things, but I really, in the long run, I wasn't really sure why it had to be worked that way. Back and forth. Like, why probably because that when you work in the round, you really don't work in the round, you work in a spiral. And at some point, I guess, since these are long stitches, these are going to disconnect.
They weren't going to align.
They're not going to align, and then that would have affected the design.
Certain stitches, for example, the camel stitch, which is the half treble that you're going, half double crochet that you're going into the kind of third loop from the V-stitch. that only works in the round. If you do it in flat,
back and forth?
Yeah, I didn't find, because that's what I did for the Mr. Veal sweater a long time ago. I tried to do the camel stitch flat, and it just wasn't working for me, but maybe I had to look up a tutorial.
The thing is, probably you have to get back to the initial position.
Yeah.
Because that's what, for example, in the shawl that you were crocheting up from the crochet project,
yeah,
that shawl, you do the broomstick, and then you have to get back to your original position to do the broomstick again.
Yeah.
So they invented a way to do that.
So maybe it was just the same thing.
So probably the camel stitch, you have to get back to your original. But I think this one has to do something with the alignment. That in the spiral they wouldn't align. So it goes back and forth, all the way around the back, all the way around the front, all the way around. And your linked stitches are to the front, whereas your half, in between the linked, it has...
half double crochet?
Yeah, they're backwards. But it was very time consuming. So I would definitely have liked to do it again with the yarn, the correct yarn. But I don't know if I will do it again because of the fact that it takes so much time to go in those rounds.
But you actually managed to finish that in 2 weeks.
I actually finished it twice.
Yeah, she finished it twice.
But I was, I have a different schedule and I dedicate a lot of time to night crocheting because I have hard time sleeping. So
that sounds so naughty, night crocheting.
Oh yes, it's
when
very
everybody
sexy.
else goes to sleep.
My crochet is very sexy. It's where I do it.
It only comes out at night.
It's what was that phrase? Burning the candle? Oh,
Catherine called it Burning the Midnight Oil.
Burning the Midnight Oil. Yeah, it was a song because Catherine and I are more or less the same generation. I hope she's not offended by that. But, Marvin Gaye, if you remember the song Burning the Midnight Oil. Well, yeah.
How do you remember that?
It just came to me. I don't know. It's like things click once in a while. Okay, so that was my first finished garment. And the second finished garment,
if you can see the kind of like big
hanging on the wall.
Should we pick it up? Because, guys, there's just no way we're going to fit that into the screen. Like, I'm just going to move this way so you can see.
It's my blur shawl. If you're joining us for the first time, or if you missed the past episode, this is the blur shawl by Addie Day Designs.
It doesn't even fit.
And I did the 6 color changes.
So... this is, most of it is actually from the Nymphadora 5 color pack that you bought from Kayleen.
That I bought from Kayleen. She had made the pack for a different Cal, but I liked it, so I bought it.
Could you point to the pink? I can't
reach.
And
then, let's see. Okay. The pink section over here is from...
It's a mini skein that Claudia from the Crochet Luna podcast gifted to me. And it was called Woof. I can't remember the name. It was Woof something, okay? Yay!
I found it.
Here it is.
I've got a special project bag that I only dedicate to collecting now yarn bag. I take it off and I put it in that bag.
See, I thought I was being ridiculous and it's actually Woofy Woof.
Woofy Woof. Woofy Woof.
So I was not being ridiculous. And it's the Party Pop Woof Tail. 4-ply sock yarn, 100% superwash merino. And
it was just perfect for the design. It just fit in so well. Yeah. I was a little bit guilty about taking over something that was gifted to her, but no, Claudia, it's all in the family.
And it looked so great because it had the pink speckles from the
It had the pink and it had the green. So it connected to both sides.
So it was just a beautiful fade. Now, for those of you joining us for the first time, as Mom said, this is the Blur. And the Blur is a crochet fade shawl that was brilliantly designed by Deanne Ramsey from Addie Day Designs. If you've never seen it before, this is like the version, I don't know, I call it the Blur on steroids. Any other shawl that I crochet from now on will pale in size.
I don't know if the other versions of this that we have seen online were as devastatingly long, but this was...
You can't even like...
I don't know if it was the 6 colors. You want me to help?
It's not going to come out in this shot. Maybe if we do it like this.
Well, you extend that way.
So, this is
let me extend
here. And now Mom come this way. And this is all the way here.
What does it do?
Like,
Whoops.
whoop.
We had it on.
It could be a dress, guys. That's all I'm saying. It could be a dress. Just gonna hang it, yeah. Let it do its thing.
How big are the blocking mats? I'm not sure how big the blocking mats are.
I think they're
but
about...
I need a 3x4.
I think they're about 4 feet. I mean, 2 feet. 2 by 2. I think they're about 2 by 2. Because these tiles are 14 inches.
So this had like an 8-foot extension?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. But
it's huge.
And I'm pretty sure it probably could have blocked more. I wasn't as aggressive. So
I think you weren't as aggressive in the bottom
If
part.
you saw the shawl that was out at the beginning when Clarissa was here alone, it was the snow melt shawl.
We thought that was big. I'm just gonna get it again. This is the snow melt shawl. It's a knit shawl.
This is a knit one. This is the first and only knit shawl or anything else I've ever done.
So I thought this was huge. And it is in its
This was
own way.
Miss MCal by the Curious Handmade.
Yeah,
Curious Handmade
Designs.
It was like, what was it, last year sometime?
Yeah. It was... Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
It was this year.
No, it was probably this year.
Yeah, it was this year because it was like for March,
Yeah.
you know, when spring is
Yes,
supposed to be
because
coming.
when I went, yeah.
And this is
Right.
made all in Crafty Treats yarn, which,
March.
as I mentioned, is one of the yarns I have
Yes.
in my stash.
And so at a point when I made this, I thought this is the one I always take to the university when it gets really cold. And I thought this one was big. And then I did that.
And I just think this one looks tiny.
Not tiny, but
Compared to... Yes, it does.
the ones Clarissa have made look tiny next to this.
God, no. They look like they were the kids that the shawl bred. It's...
But, you know, this has... I didn't bring the leftovers with me, but it uses 6 colors, but it doesn't use the complete
Yeah, when you
skein.
purchase... When
It
you
uses the complete one of
For
the
these
last
two.
2 colors, because this is the large version. The small version uses only 5 colors. I don't know how much smaller it makes it, but it would still be a pretty large shawl. And the others, what did you call it? The Wolfie wool yarn.
Woofy wool.
That one was used completely because that one I believe was 20 grams.
Yeah. It's not Wolfie Wolf, it's Wolfie Wool. Sorry.
And so those are
You finished
Are they?
objects.
my 2 finished objects that Clarissa had asked me to include in this crochet section. I do have one.
What are you hooked on?
I am still hooked because it's just gotta be. One
Mom is
thing's
a-
off and another thing's
Mom is
on.
a professional hooker. What can I say? She's a professional hooker.
Yep, and I don't consider myself a professional hooker in that sense, but
In the
I always-
crafting
yeah.
community, being a hooker means you use a hook.
Well, I know, yes, I understand, but I still don't consider
If
myself
you never
professional.
watched the podcast, that's what it means. Just saying.
I
If you're new
st-
to crochet, that's what a hooker
I
means.
still don't consider myself a professional. I have so much to learn, but I mean, just because you do something a lot doesn't necessarily make you better at it. But with the projects that I have chosen, I've always tried to make sure that I was learning something new. This one, I learned this new, what's it called again? The linked treble, the linked double treble stitch. And Allison from KCACY, said it right this time, and all without thinking about it too much. Allison from KCACY said that this looked, and I read it somewhere else also, that this is very similar to Tunisian crochet. So maybe I'm just one step away from doing that. In this shawl, what we learned how to fade one color into the other, and it's a very not difficult idea, but I mean it didn't occur to me. So yeah, it's a very ingenious idea, and so I like to choose projects when I'm learning something new. So I keep one on, Where Clarissa already started her next garment cal.
Yes,
so
I
as
mentioned
soon as
that at the beginning.
As soon as I took this off,
She had
the
to start
hooks,
the other one.
I put the other ones
So
on.
the other pattern, as I mentioned, is the Spotting Clouds top. And Mom printed it out so you guys could have an idea. This is a free pattern, guys. And it's got
I
one,
printed it out, but I didn't.
2,
I forgot to do the double printing on my computer if we wouldn't have done this. 21 pages, Claudia.
21 pages, guys. 21 pages of a free pattern with pictures included to guide your way. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Free, and
I keep forgetting to look at the camera, and I'm looking at the screen. It's well written.
Well written. I'm pretty sure it's been tested because obviously the designer made it, and I don't know if she had actual tested because it's a free design. Maybe you don't put, but up to now it's fine. Up to now,
and this
it's been working out
what
fine.
You've done.
And this is what I've done up to now. I am using a
different
light
yarn.
gray. This is a Omega cotton, and they say it's a size 5. But if I compare it to Aunt Lydia's 5, this one is about a 3. So this is about as thick as the one Clarissa is using, but not as thick as the one the designer uses.
Yeah, I think
it's a little thinner. I can tell by the yardage. This has, what is that, more yardage than the 50 grams and 100 grams that she has. So therefore, this one has got to be
Sheepji's
thinner.
Katona yarn, which is 100% cotton. This is 100% mercerized cotton. So as I mentioned in a previous episode, mercerized has had some treatment.
Okay, so up to now, what do you think I'm at? I'm at 20-something rows.
Yeah, that's the yoke. You finished
No, I know I'm at the yoke. I finished the back side.
Back.
I've got the neck, and this is going to be the front side. I'll put it on just backwards so that you can see the...
You got makeup on it.
Okay, how it's going to look so far. And then I have, I guess, probably a tighter gauge than
which is weird,
but I'm happy for that, because if not, this would have been, and I can tell because she gives you the measurements. This has to be, once the yoke is done, it'll be blocked before you continue on to the body and the sleeves. And so when she blocks it, she gives you the size. And just measuring out a little bit, I can tell this will not reach the 49 centimeters that she says. But it'll be fine, because if I had 49, it would be too big on me. It just would be too... So I think this one is looking okay. This one is actually looking okay. But so I've got the... can't have two shirts, black tops on right now. So this is the yoke. We start from the back, go all the way up, neckline.
I can't wait for you to actually get to...
Single crochet, do a chain here to disconnect from one side and attach to the other side of the yoke, and continue on to what I'm going to use as the front. And the sleeves will go on next. There's a small cap sleeve before I get to add on the color.
Oh,
so this is my chosen color.
This is actually a yarn that Christina uses for the bottom of the shirt. It's Sheepji's Whirl. It's a lovely gradient. It's 220 grams, 1,000 meters. And, sorry. So, yeah, it's lovely. 50% acrylic, 50% cotton. It's so squishy. I just love it. I just love it. I got mine in... I didn't realize it was the same color that she had used to make her top. But mine is the blueberry bonbon, I think.
Oh, I don't know. This is cherry something.
Yeah, this is... I think they wrote it... Oh, I'm sorry. This is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. And this is Sliso Cherry Pie.
I don't know if I'll get out down to the cherry on just the top. Because she says if you use the whole cake, you can make a tunic. So maybe my favorite colors will be left out. So maybe this will be a tunic.
Yeah.
Depending
I'm planning on making how much patience I have. Let's just put it there. How much patience I have. I want to make a tunic though. And I think that brings us nicely to acquisitions. Because we did acquire that Sheepji's Whirl. It's a beautiful acquisition.
Okay. Right. And so... Did you have yours? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm just in a weird position here.
No, you want me to get out?
No, that's fine. So, what I've got here is some yarn that I purchased from Wool Warehouse a couple of weeks ago. This is a lovely cotton yarn. It's 97% cotton, 3% polyester. It's from Rico. Oh, guys, just look at it. I just love that sparkle.
Pretty shine.
Yeah, this is a discontinued, so I bought all the colors they had left in this. I mean, all the balls they had left in this color. They were 8 balls, so I've got 400 grams. Enough for a crochet garment. 400 grams, more than enough for a crochet garment, for me at least, because I'm
Pretty.
teeny tiny. And I also got this opal because I love opal. I wish I was a fast knitter. It's squishy, but it feels sturdy. It's like, if you compare it with this one, which was another acquisition for Christmas socks, this is squishy but soft. Like, compare it. It's squishy but soft. And that one's squishy, but it feels like sturdy. Like, you're going to get wearable
I guess
socks.
what's it? You can feel the nylon, or is it a different blend of
It's
wool?
just 75% wool, so it's actually...
So that's why you can
It's
feel it.
got different types of wool in here, and that's
You can
why
always feel it when it's not 100%
merino or Polworth or any other yarn. You can always feel the blend. And this is 75/25 superwash merino nylon. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry.
Christmas coming.
Yeah. This got some sparkle in it, and I had bought it before I injured myself because I wanted to make some Christmas socks for me.
It's like peppermint?
Yeah, it's peppermint bark. And, okay, I have a confession to make. I did buy it because I liked the yarn, but because I wanted that. I'm the worst. See, for me, a yarn diet means I don't purchase indie-dyed yarn, but I purchase commercial yarns. I don't think that's a yarn diet, but that's how I feel. It's like, oh, I'm not going to buy indie-dyed yarn, so I'm going to go to woolwarehouse.com and I'm going to purchase opal and any other cotton yarns they've got that I can use to make garments. I'm the worst.
So yeah, your yarn ban is not very successful.
It never is.
It's very discriminatory.
Yes, and sometimes I go on a yarn ban and I'm like, oh, let's buy lipstick from Kat Von D, because why wouldn't I want to do that? I'm the worst. Okay, so yes, I hope I can make a pair of Rose City rollers with this. 2 pairs actually, because I wanted to do contrasting heels and cuffs so that I can make a pair for me and a pair for Mom. And the other lovely purchases. Yes. I can never resist it when Deborah Raymond from indigochicken.etsy.com. Can you guys read that?
Those are updates.
She does her updates. I usually purchase them 2 at a time.
And you see what's on the roof.
But look, guys, she put so much detail on it. That's a rooster. Isn't that just lovely? And it's strawberries. And on the inside, it's got a beautiful fabric as well. Originally, I had purchased this one for me, but I love it. It's beautiful, but this one has a rooster on the roof.
She's having trouble deciding what she's going to part with.
Yes. It always happens, doesn't it? When you purchase things and that's why I purchased another one. I have no self-control. But
what else is in your... You still have more acquisitions?
No, that really is it. So I think we can just move on to a bit of general chatter. For those of you who are wondering how I injured my shoulder, turns out it wasn't really an injury. It turns out I have 2 knots the size of golf balls in my shoulder area. Yeah, and that was actually...
Well, but that doesn't mean that the knots were not formed by some type of repetitive movement.
Which was probably the crochet and the knitting all day long. All day long I sit in front of the computer because that's what my job entails, so I'm always with my elbows like this. And that probably, this position hurts right now, but is what probably caused the knots to form. Plus, I had stopped doing yoga, and before, when I started this podcast, I would also do yoga when I was crocheting. I mean, not at the same time, but, you know, I would interchange the activities so that I could be able to actually keep on crocheting, and that's not something I've been doing now, and I think that's what really caused it. So anyway, I went for a massage.
I think it was also the stress, the life-changing, and
everything that's going
there was
on.
Emotional stuff into it too.
So I've got 2 knots the size of golf balls on this side, 1 knot here. And when I went for the massage, I came home, I had to drink anti-inflammatory because the pain was unbearable. Like now, I can actually knit and crochet.
And I can actually touch her, man.
Yeah, like when I got home on Friday, I was just like, everybody don't touch me because I can't handle it. But yeah, so it's a relief. I do have another appointment this Wednesday because she said that's way too big. I'm gonna need 3 or 4 sessions to actually get it out. I only booked 2 sessions. I had the first one done already, and if I feel better, then maybe I'll go in a month or 2 because it has helped. Like I was telling Mom, I can actually hold a crochet hook in my hand and crochet at least 3 or 4 rows before I feel uncomfortable. And the reason I was feeling uncomfortable was because of it was inflamed.
Yeah, the knot in your back.
Yeah,
was pulling on your arm.
Was pulling on my arm, and that was causing from the shoulder all the way down to the elbow to just be extremely painful. But yeah, so once again, thank you for all the love you guys sent my way because it was really helpful and it kept my spirits up. I can't tell you how much. I mean, Mom can say I was kind of a big moping mess, like I can't crochet.
Yeah, but did you tell them that you got into your squishing your yarns?
Yes, I did.
That was a
and I reorganized
yarn
all my
therapy,
stash.
squishing yarn therapy.
I'm buying yarn. Yeah, because I discovered there's a difference between making projects with yarn and purchasing yarn. 2 different hobbies entirely.
Collecting it, I guess.
Yes, hoarding it, you know. But I think that's it for us today.
Okay.
So we hope that you've enjoyed this episode.
Yes, we do. And that you'll come back.
Yes, please do join us. If you like this episode, then please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and you would like to, then please do. I don't charge for subscriptions.
No, and neither does YouTube.
Nope, neither does YouTube. The day they charge for subscriptions, I go on strike. That's all I'm saying.
Hopefully we'll have motivated you a little bit to continue with your crafting and
crochet
if you're like
garments,
me
please.
That you watch podcast while you crochet, well, that we've accompanied you and kept you awake while you do your crochet.
But yeah, I think that's it from us here today.
Right, don't forget the garment cows.
Don't forget the garment cow. Ooh, cows. September. 1st of September starts the Lyula cow. And 31st of August sees the end of the Summer Garment Cow by
It's
Opera
funny that
Joe.
it starts the 1st of September and there are so many Lyula shawls that you can see if you just look up the hashtag on Instagram.
I haven't started mine. I haven't even caked my yarn. And
well, there's a lot going on, right?
the Summer Garment Cow.
That's ending.
It's ending. But I meant to say the Back to School Sweater Cow starts
Also?
the 17th of September. And that cow chatter thread is being hosted by Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast.
Right. And then Crochet Luna and
Hannah
Crochet
are
Cottage are starting a
cow.
I don't know if they're starting September 1st
it
too.
starts in
It's
September.
a shawl along.
And it's no whips allowed because she wants you to try different techniques or do different designs that motivate you. So I think that's actually pretty cool. But yes, I think that really is it from us here today.
Yes, it is.
So we just get to wish you a happy
Thanks
crafting.
for coming. Bye. Have a nice week. Two weeks, actually.